Hello students, in last class we already discussed about the Ampere circuital law, some notes regarding the Ampere circuital law, when and how we have to apply the Ampere circuital law, and some applications regarding the Ampere circuital law, and we used the Ampere circuital law to calculate the magnetic field strength at different points due to a long straight current carrying conductor of infinite length, due to a hollow current carrying conductor of infinite length, and due to a solid current carrying conductor of infinite length. So there is a question that if here is a finite current carrying conductor who carries current I, and at a distance from it of R there is a point of observation P. So can we find out the magnetic field strength at that point P due to this finite current carrying conductor by using Ampere circuital law? As we know, if this is a finite current carrying conductor, so the magnetic field strength will be mu naught I divided by 4 pi r, the perpendicular distance r, into sin theta 1 plus sin theta 2. What is theta 1 and theta 2? These are these two angles made by the two ends of the current carrying conductor. This is theta 1 and this is theta 2. This is we derived by using Biot-Savart's law. But if we are applying the Ampere circuital law at this case, so what will be the answer? This is the current carrying conductor carrying current I of finite length, and here is a point of observation P at a distance r. So according to Ampere circuital law, for this point we have to imagine an Amperean loop. So let us consider an Amperean loop whose have radius same as that of the distance r. So according to Ampere circuital law, B vector dot dl vector closed line integral will be mu naught I enclosed. Within this Amperean loop the complete current carrying conductor is present, so I enclosed will be I. Clear? As this current carrying conductor carries current I in this direction, and this current carrying conductor is enclosed by this Amperean loop, so I enclosed will be I. So this implies B, as current flowing like this, B will be like this. So at this point the tangent will be B, and same we will consider the direction of dl and B vector, both are same, so angle will be 0. So B dl closed integral will be mu naught I. This implies B will be constant at each point. Closed integral of dl equal to mu naught I. So this will become B into 2 pi r. Closed line integral of dl will be complete length of the Amperean loop, that will be 2 pi r equal to mu naught I. So this implies B will be how much? Mu naught I divided by 2 pi r. This is the expression for magnetic field strength at point P due to this finite current carrying conductor by Ampere circuital law. But the actual formula is this one. So this and this, these two are different, but the real result is this much, but by Ampere circuital law we are getting this one. So is Ampere's law invalid at this case? Whether we cannot apply, or the Ampere circuital law is not valid for finite current carrying conductor as it gives the wrong result? No, Ampere circuital law is an universal law. So just remind what I said in last class. In Ampere's circuital law, B dot dl vector closed line integral equal to mu naught I enclosed. Here this B is the net magnetic field strength due to all the current carrying conductors present over there, and the I enclosed is only the current enclosed by the Amperean loop. Clear? So as in this case we are considering a finite current carrying conductor, and that means this current carries current I. As this is a finite current carrying conductor, this conductor must have some other segments which carries current to complete the circuit, because we know if here is a source and here is a conductor which carry current I like this, then this segment this segment and this segment are also present over there. Where this conductor is present, these segments are also present over there, because as this is a finite long straight conductor, they at the place where this conductor is placed, these segments are also most placed over there, because to complete the circuit these segments are also necessary. So if I am calculating the magnetic field strength at this point P at a distance r, so I am only considering the Amperian loop like this. Clear? In this case, so if I am considering the Amperian loop like this, the magnetic field strength at this point P will be how much? This much. And this magnetic field strength is not only because of this current carrying conductor, this is also due to this plus this and these segments. Clear? Due to all these current carrying conductors, the magnetic field strength at this point P will be this much. But here we are considering only the magnetic field strength due to the segment of this much only. This much segment only we have to consider to calculate the magnetic field strength at this point P. So if here we are applying the Ampere's orbital law, it will give what? The magnetic field strength due to all the current carrying conductors present over there. But we want to calculate the magnetic field strength at that point only because of this segment. That's why if we apply the Ampere's orbital law for a finite long straight conductor, then the result will be wrong. Because in Ampere's orbital law, the magnetic field strength is due to all the current carrying conductors present over there. But in case of infinite long straight conductor, as this is an infinite long straight conductors, here the magnetic field strength is also because of this segment plus other segments. But as this is an infinitely long straight, the other segments are at infinite. So because the other segments are at infinite, their impact or their magnetic field strength at this point is very negligible, or we can neglect the strength due to the segments which are at infinite. That's why the magnetic field strength at this point will be considered only because of this one. But in case of finite current carrying conductor, as the length is finite, there must be some other segments of the circuit which completes the circuit. That's why the magnetic field strength at the point, if we calculate for the finite current carrying conductor, it will gives the net magnetic field strength at that point due to all the segments of current carrying conductor in that circuit present over there. That's why if we want to calculate the magnetic field strength only because of the finite current carrying conductor, the magnetic field strength result will be different in comparison to Biot-Savart's law and Ampere's orbital law. So Ampere's orbital law is valid universally. But in case of finite current carrying conductor, we cannot apply the Ampere's orbital law. Or if we apply the Ampere's orbital law, the magnetic field strength at that point will be due to all the current carrying segments present over there. Clear? So in generally, Ampere's orbital law is applied in highly symmetrical cases. That will be easy for us to calculate the magnetic field strength due to the symmetrical current carrying conductors. Clear? Okay, that's why if we apply Ampere's orbital law to find out the magnetic field strength at the point due to a finite current carrying conductor, the result will be different as compared to the Biot-Savart's law, because Biot-Savart's law gives this magnetic field strength due to a finite, which is only because of that segment. But in Ampere's orbital law, the magnetic field strength obtained is because of all the current carrying segments present over there. Clear? In case of infinite, the other segments are at infinite, so they have very negligible impact. But in case of finite, as they are finite length, they have some considering impact on that point. That's why we cannot apply, or the Ampere's orbital law is not applied in case of finite current carrying conductors. Clear? So now this is general a doubt in our mind that if we apply the Ampere's orbital law for finite current carrying conductor, why the result will be different. So I hope you must understand the cause why the result will be get different in case of Biot-Savart's law and Ampere's orbital law. These two are correct, but this is the magnetic field strength due to all the segments, and this is the magnetic field strength only because of this finite segment. Clear? So now let's discuss some more applications of Ampere's circuital law. Okay, now let's find out the magnetic field strength due to a solenoid. Okay, we know that solenoid is a cylindrical coil-like structure like this. Okay, whose length L is large in comparison to its radius. If this is the axis of the core, this is the axis of the core of the solenoid, and this is the radius of the core of the solenoid R, and current within it is flows like this. It comes like this. Clear? So here R is negligible in comparison to the length of the solenoid. So solenoid is a cylindrical coil-like structure which have very closely wrapped insulated current carrying wires. Clear? These coils are circular turns which are very closely wrapped to each other, and they are insulated from each other. Okay, so from this we are passing the current I along this direction, so it will goes like this and comes like this. So if I cut this segment, this is a cylindrical structure like this. If this is the solenoid and here are the turns over like this, if I cut it longitudinally like this, then this will seems like, if I cut it longitudinally, at the top point of these coils, the current comes outward like this, and at the bottom point of all these coils, the current goes inward. So if I cut it longitudinally, all the points of the coil on the top of the solenoid, the current will comes outward. So we can represent it like this. And at the bottom all the coils have current goes inward. This is the longitudinal cross section of the solenoid. Clear? So these are large number of turns which are closely wrapped to each other. So just considering one coil like this, as the current is flowing along this direction, the magnetic field will be at each and every segment. If I considering this much current carrying conductor, so the magnetic fields are the concentric circles like this. Here also the magnetic fields are concentric circles. Here the magnetic fields are concentric circles like this. So all the current carrying conductors have magnetic field like a concentric circles. So as all the current above this are coming out and below the level are going in, so the magnetic lines, field lines inside the solenoid are parallel to each other and they are uniform, and outside the magnetic field is zero for ideal solenoid. Okay, in case of ideal solenoid, the magnetic field strength inside the solenoid is constant and uniform, and outside the solenoid it is zero. Clear? The lines of force for a solenoid will be like this. Okay, the magnetic field lines for the solenoid is like the figure as shown here. Okay, so the field lines are parallel to each other within the solenoid and the direction is same and the strength at each and every point within the solenoid is constant, but outside of the solenoid the magnetic field is 0. Clear? So here we have to consider an Amperian loop. If this is the segment, this is the axis, length L and a radius R. Here we have to consider an Amperian loop like this, a rectangular Amperian loop, A, B, C, D. Okay, the magnetic field lines within the solenoid is along this direction, B vector. Clear? Or just name like this, PQRS. PQST. Okay, why we are considering the Amperian loop like a rectangle? In the previous applications we are considering the Amperian loop a circular loop. Here we are considering the Amperian loop a rectangle, because we have to choose the Amperian loop in such a way that across the loop the magnetic field strength will be same at each and every point, and the direction between DL and the direction of magnetic field strength either parallel or anti-parallel, or they are perpendicular. So as here the magnetic field strengths are along this direction. So if we consider a circular loop, then for the circular loop the DL and the angle between B vector will be perpendicular, but the strength at different points will be different. So for our convenience we are considering a Amperian loop of a rectangular shape. For this segment, if we are applying the Ampere's circuital law, for this closed Amperian loop the direction of DL vector will be taken as like this. Okay, so by applying Ampere's circuital law, closed line integral B dot DL vector will be equal to how much? Mu naught I enclosed. So this is your for PQST, the closed line integral of the loop over PQST. So this implies this can be written as line integral of B dot DL from P to Q plus line integral of B dot DL from Q to S plus line integral of B dot DL from S to T plus line integral of B dot DL from T to P will be equal to how much? Mu naught I enclosed. Clear? Okay, here the length of solenoid is L, radius is R, and number of turns per unit length of solenoid is small n. That means as the length is capital L and the number of turns per unit length of the solenoid is small n. Okay, so total number of turn implies capital N equal to number of turns per unit length into net length L. Clear? So now this can be written as B dot dl for PQ. For PQ along this direction is B, and B strength is same as throughout the solenoid within it. The magnetic field strength is constant. So B will at each and every point constant, and angle between dl vector and B vector is 0. So for PQ we can write B dl over cos 0, it will be over P to Q, plus for B dl from Q to S. From Q to S, this is the direction of dl vector, and this is the direction for B vector. The segment remain inside the solenoid, and for outside the solenoid, this is the direction of dl vector, but outside B is 0. So as here the angle is 90 degrees, so cos 90 will be 0, and here as the magnetic field is 0, the B dot dl will be 0. So for the complete segment from Q to S, the result will be how much? 0. Plus similarly from S to T, as S to T the dl is along this direction, but here the magnetic field strength is 0, as outside the solenoid of an ideal solenoid the magnetic field is 0. So B dot dl for ST segment will also 0, plus B dot dl from P to T or T to P. From T to P, this is the direction of dl vector, this is the direction of B vector. As here also the angle between dl and B vector is 90, so cos 90 will be 0. So B dot dl again for P to T will become 0, which is equal to mu naught I enclosed. What is I enclosed? The amount of current enclosed within this much length of the solenoid. As the length of the solenoid is L, and per unit length it carries how much turns? N number of turns. Per unit length solenoid is N number of turns. Okay, turns per unit length is N, and length of the solenoid is L. So we are assuming PQ of the segment, maybe this length is small l. Okay, this is also small l length, and this is also small l length. Okay, we are assuming an Ampérian rectangular Ampérian loop of length small l. So as this length is small l, so within this length the total number of turns will be how much? As small n is the number of turns per unit length, and PQ is of length small l, so the total number of turns, the number of, here I am writing the total number of turns in PQ or bracket small l length of solenoid is N into L. Clear? As a single turn carries I amount of current, then in this much number of turns the net current will be the current enclosed by this Ampérian loop. So what is the value of total amount of current enclosed? I enclosed will be how much? Total number of turns into current carrying by each turn. So it will be I N into L. This is the value of I enclosed. So here we can write mu naught will be how much? N L into I. N is the number of turns per unit length, L will be the length of this Ampérian loop, and I is the current carries by a single turn or single coil, and this will be the total number of turns present within the Ampérian loop, as N is the number of turns per unit length and L is the length of the Ampérian loop. So this much will be the total I enclosed. So from this we can write B dot dl over PQ is constant, and dl integration over PQ will be what? The complete length of PQ, that is L, equal to mu naught N into I into L. So from left and right side we can cancel L. So what is the value of B due to a solenoid? It is mu naught N I. Okay, the magnetic field strength due to a solenoid is how much? Mu naught Ni. That is, mu is the permeability of the free space, N is the number of turns per unit length, and I is the current flowing through the solenoid, and this is the strength of magnetic field inside the solenoid. Outside the solenoid the magnetic field strength is 0, and at the edge or end, okay, you have to remember this, the magnetic field strength inside the solenoid is mu naught Ni, and outside it is 0, and at the edge at the edge of the solenoid, the magnetic field strength is B equal to mu naught Ni by 2, half of the magnetic field strength in the inside the solenoid. Clear? And we already discussed about this in previous lecture, and the graph will be like this. This is the edge, and this is within the solenoid. Clear? And the magnetic field strength from center to edge not varies linearly, it varies rapidly from mu naught Ni to mu naught Ni by 2. The variation of the magnetic field strength from within the solenoid to the edge of the solenoid not varies linearly, it varies rapidly. Clear? So this is the magnetic field strength at the two ends of the solenoid, and this is the magnetic field strength inside the solenoid, and outside the solenoid the magnetic field strength is 0. Clear? So this is how the magnetic field strength can be calculated by using Ampere's circuital law. Okay. Now there is a question, why the magnetic field strength outside of a solenoid is 0. So just look the cause. If here is a current carrying coil present like this, okay, and it carries current like this. So due to this current carrying coil, at each and every point the magnetic field lines are concentric circles like this. At this point it like this, at this point it like this, at this point it will be like this. At each and every point the magnetic field lines are concentric circles like this, and they are increase their radius gradually. Clear? So just assume 3 closed rings of a solenoid. Here is a ring, here is another ring, and here is another ring. These rings are very close to each other, but for understanding purpose I am drawing them a little apart from each other. These are 3 rings, and each ring carries current along this direction. Okay, they are like this, 3-dimensional, and here is a point of observation P, which is outside of the solenoid. So at this point the magnetic field, due to this current carrying ring, as current along this direction, it comes like outward, just like this. This is the ring, it comes like outward. So if current at this point comes like outward along this perpendicular, this is on the perpendicular bisector of the ring, so the magnetic field direction will be along this direction. Due to this segment at this point, the magnetic field direction will be this. And as due to this current carrying coil, the point is a little bit right towards the current carrying coil, so here the current will be coming in, and for this the magnetic field will be inward. At this is come like this point will be inward, so for this segment the magnetic field strength at this point will be along this direction. Similarly, for this current carrying coil, the point of observation will little bit towards left. So for this the magnetic field strength will be along this. So as this point is outside, these 3 are acting along different directions. So net magnetic field at this point will be, due to the combination of all the current carrying ring, will be 0. That's why the magnetic field strength, and these coils are close to each other, so the magnitude will be very nearly equal to same. So the net magnetic field strength at this point will be 0. Then what will happen inside the coil? If the same point P is considered here within the solenoid, the magnetic field strength due to this will be along this direction, same as that of this will be along this direction. like this, and for this ring the direction of magnetic field strength will be along this direction. So within the solenoid, all the three magnetic fields are added up to give a net magnetic field, but outside they are in different directions, so that their resultant will be 0. So for a ideal solenoid, the net magnetic field within the solenoid will be uniform, and outside the solenoid it will be 0. Understood? This is the cause why outside the magnetic field is 0, because here is a current carrying coil and here is a point of observation. So as we consider, at each point the magnetic field are concentric rings. So here the magnetic field will be like this, and here the magnetic field will be like this. Just imagine, I am drawing, this is the segment, so the magnetic field rings at this point will be like this, and for this the magnetic field rings are will be like this, and this is the point perpendicular to here, the magnetic field will be like this. Clear? And at this point similarly the magnetic field due to this segment will be like this segment will be like this, and this segment will be like this. Clear? That's why the magnetic field outside the solenoid is 0, and within the solenoid it has some definite value or remain constant. And the magnetic field strength throughout the solenoid remain constant only in case of ideal solenoid. In general it has some expression that's not in your syllabus, but if you want then you can remember the expression for magnetic field strength due to a solenoid will be mu naught Ni by 2 cos theta 2 minus cos theta 1. That is, if this is a solenoid, this is the radius r and the length is L, this end makes an angle from the point of observation theta 1, and this end makes an angle from the point of observation theta 2. Both are measured in same anticlockwise direction. This is theta 1, this is theta 2. Then the magnetic field strength, if it carries current I and number of turns per unit length is n, then the magnetic field strength at any point due to the solenoid will be this much. If this is ideal, this will theta 2 will become 0 and it will become 180. Clear? But you have to remember only inside it is mu naught Ni, and at the edge it will be mu naught Ni by 2 for ideal solenoid. Okay. So now let us discuss about the application of Ampere's orbital law for a toroid. Application of Ampere's orbital law to find out the magnetic field strength due to toroid. So toroid is the structure will be like this. Okay, this is a toroid. In a circular tube-like core, Okay, a coil is wrapped like this and current is flowing along this direction will be like this. Okay, it will comes over like this. Clear? This is the center of the toroid, and the within this segment is known as the torr of the toroid. This is known as torr of the toroid, and the average radius of the torr of the toroid, let be R. The average radius of the torr of the toroid, this average radius of the torr of the toroid is R. It carries current I. So due to this current carrying segment, which is known as a toroid, we have to find out the magnetic field strength at different point due by applying Ampere's circuital law. So first of all, if I cut it again longitudinally at each point here, if current goes like this, so from each point of the coil which are at this position, the current comes outward. At all these positions, the current comes outward. Clear? And all these positions on the outer circumference, here the current goes inward like this. The current comes here from this direction, and here it will goes like this. So the current in the inner circumference will comes outward like this. And from each point on the outer circumference, the current will goes in. So if I cut it longitudinally, so this toroid will seems like this. This is the torr. This is the external circumference of the toroid. Okay, this center, and this is the average distance of the torr of the toroid. So at here, all the points have current in outward direction. And above, all the points have current in inward direction. As the same current flows across the circular loop, so the total incoming current will be equal to total outgoing current for the complete toroid. Clear? And this is the radius, average radius R. So for this we have to calculate what? The magnetic field strength at different positions. So first let a position at here, which is the point P, at a distance from the center of the toroid is Rp. So we have to find out the magnetic field strength at this point P due to this toroid. So now by Ampere's circuital law, we have to assume an Amperean loop around the point P. So what is the magnetic field strength at point P? Here is the distance, and it carries B dot dl vector closed integral about P is equal to mu into I enclosed. This implies it will be at each point the B dot dl. Here if I am considering the direction of dl like this, tangent to this, the B will also be the current carrying conductor due to this, and these are two current carrying conductors enclosed by this Amperean loop. So B dot dl vector will be how much? Mu naught I enclosed. What is the value of I enclosed? As within this Amperean loop, the current all which are going in and the current all which are coming out, both are present inside the Amperean loop, and the value of current going in and coming out is same as the total number of turns of the toroid carries current I. So the number of turns, same number of turns are here carrying current outward and here carrying current inward. So net current enclosed within the Amperian loop over P is how much? Plus I minus I will be 0. So mu naught I enclosed will be 0. So that's why B at P dot dl closed integral is 0. So magnetic field strength at any outside point of the toroid is how much? 0. Similarly, magnetic field strength at any point within the tore or within the toroid which is at a distance, let here is a point Q which is at a distance RQ. Clear? Here the point RP is greater than the average radius R, that is outside of the toroid. Net B at Q, that is RQ distance, which is nearly about equal to the average radius of the tore of the toroid, that is R. So we can calculate now B dot dl closed integral over Q equal to how much? Mu naught I enclosed. So this can be written as B dl will be same direction, it will be 2 pi R equal to closed integral over this segment. If the radius is RQ, the total length will be 2 pi RQ, or RQ is nearly equal to R, or let it be RQ equal to mu naught, what is I enclosed. For this Amperian loop, it carries current, all the currents which are coming out within it and all the currents which are coming in outside the Amperian loop. So for this Amperian loop over the point Q, the I enclosed will be the current which are coming out, and all the currents which are going inside the plane is beyond the Amperian loop. That's why the I enclosed will be this much only. Clear? So what is the I enclosed? As I amount of current carries by a single turn of the toroid and the number of turns of the toroid, let be n per unit length. Then what is the length of this complete Amperian loop? As this is the total Amperian loop, the total number of turn will be, length will be 2 pi R into number of turns per unit length n into current carries by a single turn, that is I. So here we can write B into 2 pi, in place of RQ we can write radius R, which is equal to mu naught 2 pi R Ni. This implies cancelling 2 pi R from both sides. B will be how much? Mu naught Ni. What is N? Number of turns per unit length of the toroid. So magnetic field inside the tore of the toroid is mu naught Ni. Here RQ is equal to R. Okay. Now we have to find out the magnetic field strength at any point S, which is inside the toroid. Clear? So the magnetic field strength at any point S So B at S, that is at a distance RS. This distance will be RS from this point. So we have to assume an Amperian loop RS. So now by Ampere circuital law, B dot dl over S will be how much? Mu naught I enclosed. So this implies B dot dl over S equal to what is I enclosed. As this is the Amperian loop within the toroid, the total current enclosed by this Amperian loop will be 0, because the current, those are coming out and going in the plane, are beyond this Amperian loop. This Amperian loop enclosed 0 current, as these currents are out of the Amperian loop and these are also out of the Amperian loop. So the current enclosed by this Amperian loop is 0. That's why mu naught I enclosed will be 0. So the magnetic field strength inside the toroid or within the toroid will be 0. So due to a toroid, the magnetic field strength will exist within the tore of the toroid. That will be equal to mu naught Ni. But outside the toroid and inside the toroid, it will be 0. Clear? So same as that of a solenoid. If this is a solenoid, here the magnetic field is 0, here magnetic field is 0, but here the magnetic field exists, which is equal to mu naught Ni. Now I am bending this solenoid into a circle. Then it will become what? If I bending this like a circle, then it will become a toroid. And same as toroid, the magnetic field at this position will be 0 and within this position will be 0, but inside the toroid it will be mu naught Ni. Clear? So for toroid the magnetic field only exists within the tore, which is equal to mu naught Ni in strength, and outside the toroid and within the toroid the magnetic field strength will be 0. Clear? So this is the application of Ampere circuital law to find out the magnetic field strength due to a uniform due to a ideal solenoid at different positions and due to a toroid at different positions. Clear?